if you're the type of brand where statics are usually like just images, like statics are working really well for you, sounds crazy. Literally take your top performing static and make that your hero image.
Dylan, how you doing?
Can't complain, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome back to DTC Diaries, everybody. Just the two of us today. Lucas dropped so much sauce on his last episode of storytelling that he's decided to take a week off and left me to it. But really excited to have Dylan Ander on today from Heatmaps, exited CRO agency founder turned rapidly growing SaaS entrepreneur, which we're going to get into that journey a bit later on. But kind of wanted to dive straight into the value and the meat of the episode. We've spent the last 6 to 8 weeks either interviewing founders or talking pretty exclusively around creative and everything pre-click, how to stop attention, how to make great ads, how to get people to site. And we've probably given not enough attention to the other end of the equation or anything beyond that point. So excited to have you on today. Thank you for joining us and excited to dive into some of the meat of the maybe less sexy post-click equation.
Hey, man, look, everyone underestimates it. It's the 80-20. I know all these ads people love talking about driving traffic, but if they don't click that buy now button, like, there's no ROAS. So underrated. CRO has been my competitive differentiator for years, not just the fact of the agency and building Heatmap, but I actually, less people know that I exited 2 eCom brands, one in the 8-figure range, one in the mid-sevens, before I even started my CRO agency. And CRO is always my secret sauce. Like, even on dropshipping stores, you make a better lander, you make something else, everyone's competing for the same ad space. If your lander converts better, you get fed more, you get more signal back to Meta, you get more signal back to Google, like, you know, everyone's sleeping on it, and hopefully I'm glad they're listening, and we'll just give nothing but value, no shill today, and, you know, make sure that they got their head on straight.
Love it. Yeah. Arguably a bigger swing, right? Those offers obviously the biggest, but even those swings in RPS that you can unlock, and we'll get onto that further on, especially in a world of rising CPM, right? It can change the game for a brand overnight. I kind of wanted to start with a dive into like, what are the best doing that the rest aren't as a starting point? Obviously, you've got access to a ton of site data, you've got a ton of context. And I always think it's interesting to discuss like, what are the top 1% of brands doing that is driving that like exponential growth, month on month exponential growth that the rest aren't? And like, how can people sort of learn from that? So yeah, it'd be good to hear about your thoughts on that side.
So there's quite a few. I put out a post about it, went like kind of marketing viral. It was pretty cool. One big trend, and I'm curious if you're doing it with your agency, is the entry page, meaning like the landing page. In CRO, we define a landing page not by like your long form listicle advertorial. Your landing page is whatever your entry page is, meaning where you're likely pushing your ads to, or your SEO traffic goes, your email traffic goes. Those are your landing pages per channel. The most successful landing page I'm seeing right now is homepage. These brands that are in that top 1% are ripping ads to their homepage. That is one that most people don't know about. I always give the analogy of like, you're in a store, right? So you're in a physical store. I don't know if you guys got Walmart across the pond, but you know, if you're walking into a giant Walmart, it's a big box retailer. Even if it's like a small local store and you got like 20, 30 SKUs, you know, on both of them, are you going to like force someone to enter on a certain area and say, no, you can't go over to these, like, you know, other areas? I understand you're just trying to get that first purchase. You can, you know, get them again and again later. But when they go to the homepage, it's like you're allowing them. It's like someone greeting them saying, hey, what would you like to shop for? I can bring you to that aisle in the physical store. So if you run it to the homepage, they can hit the nav, they can look at certain things they want to look at. If you're pushing them to a certain PDP or collections page, you're assuming that that's what they want. But what happens is, I've noticed that as time goes on, and with Heatmap, we have trillions of data points, the pages per session is increasing across the board. So it used to be in the 2016 days when I started, 2014 even, it was like the less clicks, the higher the conversion rate and performance. Let's fuck conversion rate, but performance. So now people love having the liberty of clicking anywhere they want. They're in charge. They're smart, savvy shoppers that the number of pages they're touching is higher. And those are also higher converting sessions.
Interesting. I guess you said that in terms of like savvy shoppers, that sophistication of buyer online, right? I guess that makes sense. We actually aren't seeing that a huge amount across our client base. We're very UK heavy. I don't know if that's maybe a differentiation.
Give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Every ads agency I tell this to, they usually message me a month later like, damn, you were right. It's also way higher AOV
Yeah.
if you push to the homepage. And that's what I believe it's coming from.
Makes a lot of
So
sense.
you asked for the top one percenters. So that's number one. Number two, utilizing landing pages, not just having one landing page that's your winner or your hero landing page and ripping to it, but the people that dupe those, it can all be the same and just change your headline and your hero image. It's the topic of personalization. There's crazy personalization softwares out there that are dynamic down to the single user. But what I've noticed is just controlled, you know, personalization, even just to the smallest degree, is what's happening. So a lot of clients I see too, like especially fashion, apparel, not as much accessories, but a lot of things like if you have men and women, that it's both demographics.
Yeah.
Having ads with males and just in your hero image, having a male and maybe changing a word or two, and then having your female one, which is identical with the exception of a female image and maybe a slightly different headline. And if you do those, you'll get crazy results. Because I don't know about you, but like for me, my perspective is that your creative is your ad targeting. But even more, I would say you're just as much. That's only 30% of your ad targeting. The 70% of your ad targeting is your landing page that you're sending it to. It's the website.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing we're seeing right now, is that continuity between pre-click and post-click. And even you mentioned it on a gender level, but even on a persona problem level, I think
Exactly.
is
It can be age.
yeah,
It can be interests. There's so many.
yeah, pain point. And then even age being a big one, even like text sizes, aligning carousel images to the persona, aligning reviews to the pain point that you've mentioned in the creative. I think that's like just a huge unlock if you can replicate that, find a winning ad, recreate the landing page, align it. Even like those small tiny changes can unlock a massive improvement in revenue per session and a massive efficiency gain, which makes a lot of sense.
And one thing I gotta correct you on, sorry, this is that New York love. Never again in your entire professional life, never let anyone in your agency ever say a small or tiny change on the website. I have a database of 4,000 split tests we ran at my agency. At least half of those, at least the upper quartile of biggest tests, were just changing a headline or changing an image. So my clients, they were paying, 10, 15, 25K a month. And like, that's a lot. And they're like, what the heck? You're just changing our headline and our hero image. And I'm like, yeah, let's take a look at these results in 2 weeks. And like, boom, an extra $1 million a year.
Yeah,
And I'm like, now can you relax? Like, you wouldn't have, like, you didn't do this before. So like, you brought us on and we're getting you the results. So there's no such thing as a small change. So take that out of your vocabulary, brother.
maybe low impact, low effort, high impact. Maybe that's a better way to say.
Love it. That was perfect. Do that again.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen you, and I've seen you kind of waxing lyrical about that product carousel being an example of things that just people don't appreciate, especially with heat maps. When you can look at, I think that's one of the most useful parts of your tool and software, is that revenue view of interaction across the site, and like how much that carousel can drive in terms of gains in efficiency on post click is crazy. And I think that's again under leveraged massively across client base. I'd say we're
so
not most of
myself.
our. So that was your second. What's your third in terms of that top 1%?
So do you know what Wayback Machine is?
Is that look? That's looking back at previous sites from, say, looking at the first Uber, right, and going like you can go all the way back in terms of internet history, right?
Yep. Whenever you make a change, it creates a new one.
Yeah,
The like the brands that are, really crushing it have like 1,000 next ones where they're just updating their website so often. That's a really big one. And another little sleeper that I've noticed just when I talk to customers, DPA and catalog ads seem to be ripping. That also
interesting.
comes from my buddy Dan at Marpipe. Like they like allow you to change everything. I'm sure you probably use Marpipe, but like people using, catalog ads seem to be crushing it, just like way underutilized. I know that's offsite, but and fun fact, I don't know if you knew, I've run almost like 50 to 100 million in like meta ads, like with my hands. Like I don't talk about it a lot. I let people, just be the CRO guy, but I've done SEO, done, tons of ads, like Google ads. I'm actually a killer on. So, I come from the ad perspective too. So yeah, catalog ads ripping right now.
Love it. That kind of bucks the trend of homepage, right? You go in catalog, you go in direct to point of conversion. It's kind of like a little bit the opposite of that. I assume it is working for the right businesses, the ones with deep catalogs, broad product offerings. It's interesting to see how that kind of catalog customer journey is going to play out with AI as well. How like that's starting to serve a lot of those catalogs into AI LLMs, and how that's going to change like path to conversion and probably make the website, like that whole website journey, continue to make that as important as ever in terms of
Yeah.
optimization. In terms of those key areas that you've mentioned, like who are some of the brands that you'd say are gold standard in terms of process that people could look at as like a reference point and keep up to date with?
Wish I could share. You know, there's some public ones. Like I can go into like certain landers and stuff that's like public, but
Not
I
in
got to
your
protect the
data,
Heatmap
but
gang a little bit.
yeah. Maybe not in your data pool, but I mean, like broadly, if you're looking at a brand that maybe you don't work with that you look at as like a real good inspiration.
So like one other thing that I'll say like does include that 1%, listicles and advertorials. Man,
Yeah,
like if you're in health and wellness and if you're health, wellness, consumable, if you have true USPs and you're not running a listicle, mission critical failure. Any company in the world can run an advertorial. To be honest, like, Barry Hott of Make Ugly Ads, honestly, I've been seeing some ugly landing pages and they are killing it. They are ripping it all over the place. Those brands are like, I have to keep a little more subtle, but in terms of landing pages, Javi, Javi Coffee, they have a very famous,
bundle builder, one of the
yeah,
most
the
famous
bundle
bundle
builder.
builders ever.
Exactly. They've like, they changed the game on bundle builders and like their AOV versus like base product. There's a metric that people actually don't track, which is your price like of a unit. So, like let's say you're a supplement brand and for someone to buy one bottle is $20, but your standard AOV is like $70. That's pretty much 3.5 times your base unit. So looking at your AOV in terms of, there's a big spread, like there's a median, there's your mode, there's your average, like average order value. But looking at the graph of, there's actually specific graphs. We're going to be adding it onto Heatmap because people don't do it, which is like your base product to your actual AOV. It's like a very important metric. Some ads perform better in that, some don't. Some landers perform better in that area, some don't. But it also depends on your goals as a company. Are you going for pure EBITDA? Going for pure top line? Are you going for getting as many new customers, even if it's not as profitable in the first one, because your 90-day
Yeah,
LTV type thing? So it all depends on like what your goals are. That your landing page, like there's like really like, there's ones that attract large AOVs. There's ones that attract higher conversion rates on that page. There's ones that attract just generally higher revenue per session. And it's all based on your goals. So just like anything else in your business, make sure it matches the objectives of your company.
yeah, makes a lot of sense. A couple of things I want to touch on, the AOV one being one, but yeah, that listicle pre-sale we call it pre-sale page, but just extending the funnel for a product that has like education to be done, or very clear common objections, or and a lot of that you can uncover in some of the processes we talk about on this podcast a lot, like deep customer survey and deep exit intent surveys, or AI review mining, and you can literally just at this point just extract from that a structure for a 5 reasons or a 7 reasons why. And I think so many supplement brands or so many brands with that educational element to the product should be testing those, and they often perform so much better than direct to PDP. It's such an untapped area.
Customer feedback surveys are the most underutilized tool in all of marketing. So a really fun fact, I am an engineer, like I do code. I'm maybe a 6 out of 10, like can do the basic stuff, but nothing too crazy like my devs, like, in SaaS. But I was using chat, like OpenAI's, like ChatGPT 2.0. When you were in the 1.5 and the 2.0 range, there was no interface. It was just an API. And what I would do is I made this like ugly single page that I could upload a CSV, and it would summarize everything for me. So in my agency days, like really early on, I was able to do that because like it required some code to be able to do, but I was able to do that. And then you make an RSS feed anytime someone mentions you. Granted, now you can just upload it to chat and it's like a piece of cake, but
Yeah.
I've been doing that for probably like, I don't know, 6 years, where before there was even an interface for it. So it's one of the most underutilized things. Like you can literally just take a landing page, like upload all your, reviews and just like say, hey, where's the copywriting off?
Yeah.
It doesn't do a half bad job. Whether you use Claude or you use ChatGPT, make a custom GPT or a custom Claude project and upload every single thing you can. All your winning ads, your best landing pages, just give a, PNG, your ICP training data, your, metrics, like in a spreadsheet that you could show them, your target, like, emails that are high converting, like absolutely everything. This is another thing that really advanced brands are using. It's just like put all of it together, and then you can talk with it. And for any type of creative production, maybe you're not ripping the ads from there, but it'll tell you directionally like what's going on and update it. The memory keeps updated, and like it's something wickedly useful. We do it for Heatmap, where we have Heatmap GPT. It knows our financials. It knows how much people are getting paid. It knows like, what our CAC is per channel. I update it all the time that we have a Heatmap GPT that like, I feel like it's the second CEO of the company. It's wild. So cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, 100%. And then building custom GPTs below that that are specialized towards a certain area, I think is the next level below that as well, to get to, and say building one for headlines on landing pages. But I think that whole speaking to your customers as a concept is still just underutilized. Like surveys being one method, but even direct phone calls, we've been doing some of those as a part of our creative strategy process, and like, so you can extract so much information from being on the phone with someone for 30 minutes, and it can drastically change your understanding of your own products, the understanding of the angle, the reason why someone bought, maybe some of the hesitations they had at the time of purchase, and that can provide such massive unlocks. And it's that availability of data is one of the big like benefits of D2C, I guess, in some ways. And it's like, for customer data, that is, although privacy has had a bit of an impact on that compared to, say, retail. But I just think brands still just massively underutilize
Or
it.
SaaS.
Or SaaS. Or SaaS, yeah.
Dude, it's so different. I've been an eCom guy my whole life. I still am, but in SaaS, you don't have as many at-bats. In eCom, you have an unlimited number of at-bats.
Yeah, exactly. If you were say a brand looking to launch, say you're on that kind of fast growth journey, you've found some winning angles, you've really been doubling down on creative as that real first key part of getting true scale, product market fit, month on month growth, and you're looking at like first round of tests and looking at sort of building out that optimization process for post-click, like where would you be looking at as a starting point, quickest wins, highest possible impact? Just say you've found a winning angle. You've really found you got that creative process working, but you've not really touched site optimization. Like from your experience, where are you starting in terms of quickest wins, highest possible chance of success and impact? I guess that's difficult probably to generalize.
No, for sure. I got you. So, I know a lot of people that listen to this are definitely, ad heavy, right? Just because your background. So I'm actually going to try and, tie more of this versus just pure CRO to really tying it to ads. So if you're the type of brand where statics are usually like just images, like statics are working really well for you, sounds crazy. Literally take your top performing static and make that your hero image. I've seen that time and time again, just absolutely rip.
Just header
That's one of
image,
the,
homepage, just
yeah,
straight in.
yeah, literally just like your text over here and your image over here. Like, because if you think about it, like people all talk about like continuity from the ad to the landing page, but what more continuity is there when they click on something and then they see it and it feels familiar because they were just on Instagram or Meta or wherever and they clicked on it and like it takes a little time to load, that it's got 3 seconds of familiarity that then they're going to sit there and read another 5, 6 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
crazy continuity. And that's kind of what I meant by like duping those landing pages and just putting in your ads as the images. So like the other thing too is in your product, galleries, like on your product pages, take your winning ads if they're focused and make that image number 2 or 3. That's another place where they feel that familiarity because they
Yeah.
saw the ad. They've surfed the website a little bit. They don't remember what the heck they clicked on. People don't buy because they remember an ad, like it's because the site and what they're reading. So it will feel familiar and like welcoming to them if they see an image maybe 15, 20 seconds later than when they first saw an image that made them click. So those are two really, low effort, high impact. And then the other one is copywriting. A big one right now, if you guys remember like the Hemingway app that like showed like how advanced your stuff was, on your top highest traffic pages, definitely like your homepage, your product page stuff, there's a magic number of an 8th grade reading level. If you put things on an 8th grade reading level, your conversion rates will improve immediately. Your revenue per session will improve immediately. Your AOV will go up immediately. And it's just this magical thing where people have to spend less effort thinking about what they're consuming. So you have beautiful images and you have 8th grade reading level copy. Even if you're selling like rocket science work, like, like you can get it on an 8th grade reading level, which is the best. If you have above ninth grade, or you even go to 10th grade, that's the max. 10th grade is like white papers,
Yeah.
like really advanced stuff. So if you do that as well. And then another one is like, if you have any font on your website that is less than 14-point font, immediately change it. So if you guys want a revolutionary change for the highest ROI of listening to a podcast, literally just number one, go and take all your 12-point font, put it up to 14. Headlines are supposed to be a minimum of 18 to 24. So like just increase the size of your text. Number two, put it on an 8th grade reading level. And number three, thank Olly for having me on. And that will be your biggest improvement that you've had.
Love it. I think it's often those fundamentals, right? I think when you're close to a product or you're in a brand, you can sort of default to complexity and trying to like to make things sound higher value and you forget that just confuses a buyer. It doesn't make it more desirable in a world of very short attention spans and huge levels of consumption. So, and I've done off the back of some of your feedback previously, I've implemented the pixel size change. And it's crazy the impact that can have, especially again if you're in the older demographic. If you're selling to people over the age of 40, just making things bigger, making things more legible, not making buttons really hard to click, like things like that. Just simple stuff that really moves the needle.
Yeah, that's exciting. What else have you tested that you've seen?
I think like just persona and angle alignment with ad at scale. So finding a winning persona and angle combination and then aligning the images, aligning any reviews up the page to be directly associated with that persona and pain point or objection, and just kind of replicating that across top ad angles at scale. I think generally, I think embedding more UGC videos across sites is something we've seen work pretty well over the last 12 months, although it doesn't work on every occasion. I think it depends on the execution sometimes. And then pre-step pages, which we've got pre-sale pages or listicles or 5 reasons why or advertorials, publisher pages, like those sort of things prior to the PDP have been 3 of probably the most common wins we're seeing right now. I think that whole publisher page, third-party page is really interesting with the rise of like publisher ads, third-party ads on Meta are such a buzz right now. It's like they're almost being pushed more by the platform. I think that opens the door for a lot more interesting customer journeys as a whole before you get to the product. And that's something we're really doubling down on with our clients right now.
Love it. So 2 things on UGC and like testimonials, social proof, that whole like category. Number 1, let's say you have 3 USPs, like, your supplement brand, it helps like hair, skin, and nails. Let's say like skin you find is the number 1 USP from your customer feedback surveys, maybe winning angles, things like that. You're able to change the testimonials that show on your site. Your testimonials should be aligned with that angle. Just because someone gives a positive review, they should be giving a positive review about what the customers care about. So that's a really subtle one that if you make that UGC or your just giant list of reviews, or if you've like static testimonials, like, quotes, make those all geared towards the USP.
Yeah.
That's a huge one as well. And then the other one, guess what? Is so like if you're whitelisting or third party pages, that type of thing. Let's say you're whitelisting with let's say I'm whitelisting on your account. I would put a text testimonial of you on that first landing page. Because again, familiarity. A lot of people talk about congruency to the landing page, but I would call it more so like that feeling of familiarity and comfort and trust. Because they don't trust you when they're on Instagram and they randomly click an ad. They're like, this is probably bullshit, but let me go check it out. And then like they go and check it out and they maybe know your face as a follower. You put a testimonial of you. It's like, okay, it came from Olly's account, but actually Olly is supporting this here. So even at Heatmap, where we're ripping ads right now, like a lot of people think that in SaaS, just running quality ads doesn't scale. That's bullcrap. We're getting amazing results across Meta. Reddit is a sleeper right now on Google, just like you can make really good ads and it works, So what we do is we do whitelist a couple of like amazing marketing professionals on our ads. And all we do is just dupe the homepage. And with the UTM, just have their name as, we have our hero section, how it works, and then a testimonial kind of thing of them. So that's ripping for us as well. So making sure that, it feels familiar and trusted once it goes across.
Cool. So I want to switch topics now, directly to sort of measurement of a lot of what we've talked about. And I know you're an advocate of, what's your favorite saying in the conversion rate world?
Conversion rate, baby.
Yeah, want to hear a bit more about why this is your like guiding principle, I guess, and hopefully this segues us into a few other bits from there. But yeah,
totally.
If not conversion rate, what's your approach to measurement?
So the main thing is you should care. So like first off, why you shouldn't trust keyword is global conversion rate. The only time I use conversion rate is maybe on a specific page because there might be a higher converting page versus others, but that is apples to apples. There's no apples to anything when you're looking at your global conversion rate. There's seasonality. You could be running identical ads to identical everything. If you're in season or off season, it'll look different. It might take more, a higher frequency of visits to like get someone to buy, and your conversion rate looks lower. You can be out of stock of something. Your conversion rate's going to go down. You can be running more top of funnel. Your conversion rate's going to go down. Your competitor can start be ripping tons more ads. Conversion rate will go down. Maybe you missed an email that week. Conversion rate goes down. Like, it's like there's so many things that are like outside of your control of the website that people are like, darn, my website is not performing this past 2 weeks. Well, you didn't change your website. So clearly, like, why is conversion rate an indicator of how your website is performing. Conversion rate does speak about to the whole business, which is the conversion rate lovers. That's their argument, is like, oh, the whole company is working. No, it's your net profit. That's what I care about. It's either net profit or global metrics like revenue per session. So if you want to, I say this on a lot of podcasts, if you want to triple your conversion rate overnight, cut all your ads, have just a little bit of retargeting on, and send 5 emails that day. You will have like a 10% conversion rate. It'll be crazy. But should you do that? It's probably a no.
Yeah.
So because of all these factors, revenue percent or conversion rate is not something that can be like held accountable. But now the reason revenue per session is going to be more accountable is there's the balance. Let's say you have a new offer, it's higher priced, but less people are buying. Doesn't matter. Your revenue per session may be the same. It's something that's more comparable. If you change something on a test, there's a higher conversion rate. Maybe you just got lucky that week that during your creative testing, like something matched that split test. You don't know. So there's not a lot of factors that can move the needle on revenue per session. A lot. Got to be everything together, because it's the combination of how many people are getting to my site and how much are they buying. So it actually includes your AOV, it includes your conversion rate, it includes your total sessions, it includes other factors as well for it all together to come to one metric, which is revenue per session. There's now all the new rage of profit per session, but I actually don't go based on profit per session. I want a higher AOV because then your contribution margin is larger because you're not paying extra for shipping and all that type of stuff. So I just want as high of an AOV and as high of a revenue per session as possible.
Love it. And that's what you think should be guiding. There's the North Star for any optimization process post-click.
And I think AOV is a very underrated metric.
100%. I think it's I'm going to come. That was on to my next topic of like offer testing, which I think is probably I'd say arguably the lowest used test that we're across our client base. Like I feel like when people find a winning offer, it's almost like, right, we've got an offer. We're just going to try and scale it. We're not going to test anything. We're set. We might introduce the odd upsell post purchase. But I think it's an area that can provide just such dramatic swings in business performance if you can do it well. And it's something that everybody should be constantly iterating on.
So we were talking about low effort, high impact tests. Offer testing is a high effort, highest impact test that you can make. So the reason why most brands I find, like I ask them, like, what's stopping you from testing like a new offer a week? They're like, bandwidth. We don't have enough. Then you got to go change the back end in your inventory. And you got like, there's so much to offer testing that number one, I don't fully blame people for not doing it because it's a lot of work. You really have to dive deep into data and creative, like both the qualitative and quantitative. But once you hit a new winning offer, it's like you have a whole new e-commerce business. You have a whole new department, like you have a whole new revenue stream. It's like really like life-changing for people if you knock in a new offer.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen that as well. Like that, it just gives you that ability. Say you manage to shift your AOV by a meaningful amount, that ability to spend into that, as long as CAC stays somewhere. A CAC moves at a less than equal percentage. I think like it just can dramatically change performance and dramatically change the volume of spend you can put through your core acquisition channels. How are you approaching like offer testing? Like say you're a business watching this, like how would you be thinking about research as a starting point for that?
There's a lot of methods. You can go into Shopify, use Sidekick, see what people are buying together. There's all that type of stuff. But the best offers that I've created have been, crazy enough, less like hard data driven and more qualitative data driven. The other thing that I found, so for supplement companies specifically, let's say you're selling something that gives like joint relief.
Yeah.
You can pair two of them together, that just a new offer, you can just change the name of your same bundle and it's borderline an offer test. So like the joint relief health pack versus buy one, get one free. No change in your back end, duplicate your landing page, just change the words, change the image. Again, back to images and images and copy. That's it. So it's like you can test a lot of offers by just changing the name and the image associated with it. So like offer testing does not have to be as complex as people make it. That I kind of look at it like a standard UX UI split test that you can do with your current bundled offer. And if you're also not trying to sell multiple at the same time, even at a high AOV product, I see people like with like a 500 AOV or like $1,000 AOV, $500 base product selling 3 units because that's what people are locked in. It's price anchoring, of whatever the smallest thing is. So there's a lot of easy lift ones. And then there's the complete like swing it out of the park trying to change your whole business. That those ones that I just said can change your whole business. But reworking a bundle builder or even having a bundle builder, even if you don't have that many products, like, or even if you're a fashion company that sells $300 bags, make bundle builders. Your conversion rate will never go down. Your revenue per session will never go down. Neither of those metrics will go down if you have a bundle builder. The only thing they'll do is just click one and go, and it's never going to have any downside. But even if 5% of those people take an extra unit, you could be adding, 10% to your AOV globally.
Yeah. I always feel like there's a cohort of people going through any site that would self-select into like the most premium offer you can provide them. Like if you can provide them the full range or the full bundle, like there is always going to be a small cohort that take that. Even if it's a couple of percentage points, it can have a meaningful impact on AOV, LTV. Like it can really be a driver of metric growth, for sure. I think what you said on quantitative data is also true. I almost think when you spend too much time sometimes spend too much time obsessing over like what are the bundles, what are the common combinations of products that customers are buying right now, can kind of fall into that trap of like sometimes people don't know what they want until you put it in front of them. And that's where I think the qualitative data can really guide that process. We're seeing a lot on you mentioned an example with joint pain, like persona driven bundling around a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
Supplement companies have always come to mind first around that, but that is just crushing. Or products where you can buy multiple for like his and hers combinations, things like that. I think is just such an opportunity if you can align that persona with a bundle in that way.
Well said.
Perfect. I want to switch gears to talk a bit more about, I guess, your journey. You mentioned the two e-commerce brands. I know we first met when you were growing and leading your CRO agency. But then not so recent now, but you've recently-ish pivoted towards Heatmaps. And how have you found that pivot in terms of moving business models as a whole?
It's wild. SaaS as an operator is wild. I have no other word to say for it. So heatmap.com is actually business number 8 for me.
Serial.
I started young. My first one, yeah, super serial. No, I started my first eCom store at 17. I got, like I always say, like, they're like, how did you get so far at this age? I'm like, my parents started me early. I'm really blessed, freshman year of college, my friends were doing it and I'm like, it's a lot of money. Like, for a 17-year-old, like, I'll try this drop shipping thing. And, and I did it. I put it on a credit card and 3 credit cards, but the money came back in the same day. It was crazy. So, I started really early. So going from brand side to like agency side, I also always had agencies where, to the real operators out there, you got to buy $250,000 of inventory. You may not want to finance all that either. So like you got to buy $250,000, sell it, buy $500,000, go sell it. So I always wanted like my brand to be separate and have its own financials, separate from like me even taking a salary, because I just wanted to keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. So I always had an agency on the side because if I'm able to do it for myself, I can do it for other people. So the other one most people don't know, I have a wicked SEO background. I did SEO for Geico, for Planet Fitness, for 24-hour fitness, for Home Depot even at one point. Like it was really crazy. So like I had these like 50 to 100K a month like SEO contracts. I'd rebuild websites for 150K. Like, I had like really high ticket companies like even early on when I was like 21, 22. And I always had an agency, so that paid all my bills and more while I was just snowballing these companies. But then also, not with every success story comes a failure. Then I tried to make an energy drink before it was really cool. Lost 400 grand of post-tax money.
God.
Then I tried, an agency SaaS combination, started making a ton of money, reinvested all of it. And I took my eye off the prize of like with the agency or the moneymaker. And then that whole thing went to zero. And then I built the CRO agency to be more specific. Then I exited for 8 figures. Very different situation. And then, coming back like after that, I just lived in the CRO space for so long. I moved over to SaaS because like even today, I have so many SaaSes that I go and vibe code that we use internally because we have problems. They always say the age old solve a problem, but there's no better way to solve a problem than to build a large company because there's so many little gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like Amplitude, it's a product analytics company. Granted, we're an analytics company too, but we don't do it on apps and things like that. They were trying to charge me 80 grand upfront for the year for that. And I'm like, that's annoying. So I went in and like checked some things, gave some custom tags to what I needed. And I'm like, wow, okay, we can maybe do this for product. And that was for our own. Even for like a booking link. Yeah, there's the Google's free one, but we wanted enriched data. So I just made one.
Nice.
So I have these problems that I've gone and solved, like even for SEO for our own brand, and I'm really into GEO right now. Like I'm at like Heatmap is ranking inside of ChatGPT and
Yeah.
Claude and Gemini. Like I think I like cracked the code and the sauce for that one. So there's something called schema markup. So I literally built a little SaaS tool that builds out a schema markup. That's JSON LD versus like old school schema. So it's like finding these problems, I solved it. And that's why I built Heatmap, because you would split test something and you would never know why a test won. You'd
Yeah.
have ideas. You would know the concrete results of before and after, but you changed your hero image. Okay. Did people scroll further down the page or more people hitting navigation? Is it increasing pages per session? Like, are they clicking my hero button instead of, like maybe an FAQ, or are they clicking FAQ and not this? And like, what's leading to revenue? So I never knew. I always knew where revenue was coming from, but not how it was being driven. And it always bothered me, and click maps never did it. Click maps are misleading. They're almost borderline unethical data, which is a hot take because you just see where people are clicking. But you, Ollie, as an agency owner, if you're like, hey, I got more people to click on the navigation, or a lot of people are clicking on this navigation, client's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
They want revenue. It's like, hey, people clicking the navigation is the highest revenue action someone can take on this page. We just increased it by 15% and we're seeing, an increase in performance. So that's why we went and built heatmap.com.
That ability to translate it into like hard performance based impacts is such a massive use case of the platform. Before we dig into actual heat maps and like, I want to talk about how people can get the most value from it, and a bit about the roadmap and some of the recent things you brought out. What are some of the interesting sort of operating principles and processes and biggest differences you've seen moving into like SaaS as a business model that maybe could be applied to sort of brand and agency world where most of our listeners are from, and drive impact for those business models? And what is SaaS doing better in your eyes?
Chase Messeni, my previous CMO, founder of Creative OS, we always had a light joke. Sorry, eCom. We're like, like running ads or like marketing for eCom feels like easy mode. Like for SaaS, you only have so many ad bats. SaaS pricing is hands down the hardest exercise in 13 years of being an entrepreneur. The hardest thing I've ever done. Price testing, that's one thing that SaaS cares about a lot, that
Yeah.
eCom doesn't as much. Price testing, like just like offer testing, price testing is a form of it. That is one of the most underrated things. Number two, in software, you have to get such hyper specialized, experts that the do it all kind of people used to be like, oh, nice. They could put up our emails. They could, run some ads. They could, design these kinds of things. Hell nah. Stop getting your generalists. People
Yeah.
can't be good at everything. I'm not good at everything. You're not good at everything. So, like, stop trying to say, oh, they're a Swiss Army knife. If someone in an interview ever says they're a Swiss Army knife, I'm like, sorry, it's not going to be a fit. I want someone who is so insane in the weeds, crazy level, like they think about it on Saturday nights. Like, that's what I want in team members, not about the work part of it, but like their specialization that in ecom specifically find someone who's like good generally at retention. No, if I was back in an ecom brand, I would want someone who's ran hundreds of loyalty programs. And all I'm bringing them on for is a huge ROI on a loyalty program. I want someone who has also worked at a D2C brand in the same vertical. Like, just because someone ripped it on supplements and or just because someone like crushed it on an apparel brand doesn't mean they can come over to your subscription based company and understand the dynamics. Like,
Yeah.
their playbook that they've used does not work on yours. So I also require that my team members have worked at an analytics SaaS company before. Every one of my engineers, like my VP of marketing came from Hyros.
Yeah.
My head salesman, he was at Hotjar, our biggest competitor before. Everyone at my company has direct analytics company experience or they're not hired. That specialization, specific as you can get it, ecom brands, please go hire that way.
I love that. I remember you talking me through your generational run of poaching from competitors and other businesses, which was great. I think that is so true about ecom as an industry. Is that like category level specialization is so important. Like fashion and supplements you mentioned are two perfect examples of so vastly different business models, even though they're both e-commerce, and that specialization in understanding P&L data, customer journeys, like is so transferable, but probably not appreciated enough.
Let's say
Yeah.
your ecom brand is big enough to warrant having a CFO. Then moving from that over to a subscription model, they're going to have months of like scratching their head and like getting bothered that like how the unit economics are legitimately different. It's
Yeah.
not the same.
100%. So talking about Heatmap specifically, for those watching, like I think everybody should be on the platform. I think it's night and day in terms of quality compared to other tools in the space. Assuming that everyone does, what are the best ways like people can extract quick time to value once they're on the platform? How are you seeing like power users really drive growth through the platform at the moment?
So if you guys aren't aware, heatmap.com, we're the only revenue-based heat map. So you're able to see not just clicks, but the AOV of people who clicked on that button, the total revenue driven by that button, the total conversion rate of people who clicked that button, the revenue per click, revenue per session. Like we have so many metrics to the element level. That's what the big change is. Everyone else just shows clicks and it's BS. So we also have like tremendous AI that like tells you like, hey, your FAQ number 3 is, underperforming. Go move that up the page or like, ditch this and rewrite it. So the AI insights, like people that actually use them, like one's like, oh, your AI. No, like people like send us case studies of like, here's the screenshot of your AI like recommendation. And here's the before and after split test. And here's the crazy amount of money we made. So that's kind of how Heatmaps, like what heatmap.com looks like. But the power users, we created something called interactive mode. So you're able to actually open up elements that are not on a website, not on the resting dome, meaning, the screenshot. So what you're able to see is you're able to open up your navigation. People that are optimizing that navigation are killing the game. So that's really like the number one. So product galleries, looking at what images are performing, moving those up to the top, navigation, and also just rearranging your collection tiles based on revenue per click, revenue per session. Crazy gains.
Rearranging collection tiles that you mentioned is for me like if you've got a business that has a large SKU range is just instant time to value once you sign up to Heatmaps. Like it's amazing how much you can get out of a and it'll take you less than 10 minutes, right? Just down like even and since I was doing it manually now since you've brought the AI and it's like It's done for you. Just go in, rearrange the collection page based on that data, and you can find such a lift in RPS. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what the power users are doing.
In terms of roadmap for the products, like what are you thinking in terms of AI, and where do you think like conversion rate optimization? Obviously, you can't give away the secrets, but where do you think CRO or post click as a category in a not a category, but an area of growth marketing is heading with everything that's going on in AI currently?
There's actually a difference to like data analytics. I was thinking of running an ad saying data analytics is dead. There's a difference between data analytics, which is just showing historicals, like studying history. And there's a term called data activation, meaning what you can go do with the data. And then there's predictive analytics. All I'm going to say is we're simulating human behavior trained on approaching 20 trillion data points. So we'll be able to know the change before you even think of it.
God, seeing into the future.
Yeah, honestly, like when I take a look at like our little MVPs, like that are, barely working at the moment that like we're working on, it's just like future. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what have we done? This is crazy. Like, it's really wild.
How are you thinking? I guess that opens the door to just so much faster optimize. I guess higher certainty in test and success rate, faster optimizations. Are you thinking into a view of like those changes on site will be fully automated, infinite in terms of volume, or do you think it's going in a different
So I
direction?
think AI can automate everything, but I think for code, there should pretty much always be a human in the loop.
Yeah.
That's maybe like my VCs would definitely disagree. They're like, no, just do it for everyone. I'm like, no, I've just been in it for so long. Like there should always be a human in the loop. Cause if you break an ecom site, you could be losing like stupid
Yeah.
amounts of money for them, not just the opportunity cost that they could have made, but also what they ripped in ads during the time you fucked up their website. Like, and then like, it's just terrible. So I'm like, for ecom specific, I don't want to touch the site. Maybe I'll put it in draft, but y'all gotta touch it to,
Yeah.
push it. So that's where I think that like human in the loop in AI is actually very important, which is how much do you want to automate? And then how much will the human go and do?
Yeah. I think that with creative as well, right? Is you always want to set, you always need that sense check. You always need that checkpoint. Because
Are you
otherwise,
scared of those like AI builders that just like you like click a button and it like goes and makes all your ads and it uploads them and targets them? Like, are those like weird to you? Are you like playing with any of those? Like, I'm out of that space. So, are you playing with those?
we're doing quite a bit with VO3. I would say no, not in terms of end to end. I think most of the tools in that space just don't provide the utility that they advertise on the front end, or they're trying to do too much and don't do anything as well as they should. I think where we're utilizing AI is exactly what you said in terms of like analytics, data, complex data sets, extracting insights to inform the process, and then heavy use of iteration and multiplication of winners, or and say VO3, we're taking that and reproducing hooks and making them 5 or 10 times more dramatic. And I think that content generative space is going to accelerate rapidly, I think. But I still feel like human input, especially from a performance perspective, like a lot of what's working right now is authenticity, it's trend led, it's jumping on things that are happening in society. I think that's where we're still finding a lot of our best performers, and where I think it's really needed to have someone in that process to interject that, I guess, creativity in some way. Imagine it's similar. I guess anything else you want to shout about from a Heatmaps perspective? What else do you think watchers and listeners could be getting value from? Or
About 2 months ago, we launched our web analytics platform. I'm sure none of
yeah,
you have ever thought to yourself, man, I love GA4. So for $29 a month, no matter if you're true classic or you just started your brand yesterday, it's $29 a month forever. We're never changing that price. Go experience the amazing UI, experience some basic AI insights that you're like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't know this PDP was my problem. And like, let us, jump in for 29. And it's really like, like Hotjar will be quoting you like $5,000 a month, and like, we'll be like 300 a month. It's just like, again, everyone's asking me why isn't it much higher? The reason I'm not jacking up the price and not even thinking about it is I want the data. Because then
Context,
the more
right?
data we all have together, the more of all of you guys that sign up for heatmap.com, the more aggregate AI data we will have. No PII. We don't take cookies. We'll never have your customers. It's just behavioral clicks and what's going on. The more data that all of us can band together, I will shepherd that for everyone so everyone can get an improvement. So it's like not even a pitch. It's like the more people objectively that we all as a community have on heatmap.com, the closer we can get to just the craziest prediction engine ever.
A real man of the D2C people, see?
Dude, B2B would be such a better segment, but I just love my D2C people too much.
I love it. Well, yeah, everybody listening, watching, go sign up for Heatmaps. We'll put a link in the comments. Dylan, where can they find you personally?
At Dylan / Dylan Ander. At Dylan Ander.
We'll put him in the description as well. 3 takeaways: sign up for Heatmaps, sign up for Heatmaps Analytics, low effort, high impact tests, and do more offer testing. I think if you're going to take anything away from this episode. But yeah, thank you for joining me, Dylan. Sorry,
Dylan. My fiance doesn't even call me that.
Thank you for joining me, Dylan. Appreciate you jumping on, and catch everybody in the next episode. Thank you.